Alright, so here is your pink hammock. For people watching this, I made a neon green winter tarp recently, and this is the hammock that's going to go with it. To show the person what we did here, you got yellow continuous loops with the cinch buckles. Those aren't your straps. The straps, those are just ones I use here in the shop. You have a yellow ridge line up here, and then your yellow continuous, loops with the cinch buckles, and this is your straps right here. What I did, because some people will use a different cord on the head end, so they'll know which end is the head end and which end is the foot end. Since yours are both the same color, what I did was use some green string for the drawstring on the head end of the stuff sack, and then it's black on the other end. So when this is in the bag, you'll know which end of your hammock is head in and which end is foot in. You could sleep in it either way, but if you start putting like accessories and stuff in your hammock, you'll know which end is your head in and stuff. And of course, the name tag here, that's on the head end. So these are the cords, the shock cords I talked about that will help stabilize the hammock so it's not sitting there rocking. And of course you can, I don't have much room in here but to work with, but you can make them, bring them out wider or farther, or however works best for you. And since you're new to hammocks, as a general rule, just to kind of get you started, like where these are, if you, depending on, like I lay with my head to the right side and then my foot to the left side, and that's kind of what you want to aim for, to put like your head, shoulder in that area, and then your foot down in this area on the opposite side, depending on, laying head right or head left, whichever way. But that's kind of to get you, because some people will, when the first time when they get in one of these hammocks, they'll lay in there and you tell them to lay sideways and they'll just tilt just a little bit, and but you can really get at a really good diagonal, and the more the diagonal you're laying, the flatter you'll lay and everything. So that all works out. I've got these are all pulled down right now, but there's plenty of slack in the net even with it pulled down. Like I've said in other videos of hammocks, I pleated the net and everything to give it some more slack and stuff, so it's not so tight and pulling the hammock up against you. Got zipper pulls on the inside and out. You got these on both ends, both sides, so you can hang random stuff. They won't hold a whole lot, but if you got just some random thing you want to hang there for a little bit. I usually, like most people, just leave my stuff sack on there, and you have these toggles here and these loops, and what they're for is you can roll up the net, and when you get, come here, net, it's hard to do with one hand, you take this toggle and bring it around the outside, and then like that, and stick it in that loop. And with that, you can roll up one side, or you can roll up both sides, or you can however you want to do it. One thing I usually point out is rolling up one side. It's nice if you're just going to sit in a hammock, so the bug nest's not just hanging on you. And rolling up both sides, if it's a warm day, any kind of bug net's going to restrict the airflow a little bit. So if it's a warm day but the bugs aren't biting, you can roll it both sides and let some more airflow through there. These orange cords, you'll have stakes in this package with this to stake those down, so you don't have to carry 8 pounds of weight with you in your backpack. These here clip on and off. Let me put the camera on a stand so I can do this. Okay, so this piece here is called a line lock, and this piece here is called a Beastie D. All they do is, the line lock has a hook in it, and the Beastie D's got a hole there in the center. Just clip it in place, If you want to tighten or loosen this line, take this line lock, put it parallel to the ground, and it'll loosen up, and then just let go and it stops. You want to tighten it, make it parallel to the ground, pull on this loose end, and let go, and it locks in place. Pretty simple. So you have your quilt hooks. I know you're making a quilt for this. Send us pictures whenever you get it done. I'm kind of curious. And got quilt hooks. They help, the shock cords coming out of the quilts. They help stabilize. You can clip the shock cord in here, and it'll help stabilize it so it's not trying to slip over one side or the other. Because if that happens, you're going to wake up cold and realize instead of the underquilt being underneath you, it's hanging off to one side or the other. So depending on how long you end up making your underquilt, they have basically two sizes. Most places you get the underquilts, a 3/4 length and a full length. 3/4 length, shorter, of course, and using this lower quilt hook works best for that. If you make a full length one, then these up here on the top will work better for that. So that is it. Your net's a little bit wonky right now, but I got this side, that side's kind of pulled out at an angle, and this side there's not room, so it's straight. And like to see if you pulled it more at an angle, both of them, it would straighten your net up. If you're worried about it looking pretty, that's it. You got your toggles here, both places. We call these the Ursa system, underquilt retention and stuff attachment. Ursa is a Latin word for bear. This is a Grizzly hammock. That's why we went with the word Ursa, and it worked with the acronym. But for your underquilt, depending on how you end up making it, most underquilts will attach up here with like a carabiner or something. You can clip them to the your loops there, your yellow loops on your cinch buckles, and that kind of gives a little bit of slack from there to here. Usually with the underquilt hooks, it will hold it in place and everything. But if you're having a little bit of problems with it, what you can do is just get you a cheap little carabiner and clip on here, and then bring that shock cord up and clip it into that. And sometimes that works actually a little bit better than the underquilt hooks because you're kind of getting more of a, it would come from here to there and then down. So you're kind of getting a bigger, a different angle than coming from there to the quilt hooks. And that kind of helps hold it up against the underquilt. Helps hold your underquilt up against your hammock a little bit better. And especially on the ends where you might have a problem with it sealing, because if your underquilt's not sealed tight up on the end, you will get airflow through there and wake up in your back or your butt or whatever is cold. Speaking of this, since you're pretty new to all this, one thing I say about the underquilts as far as adjusting them, a couple things to say. If you wake up and your back is cold, it might be, the gap here is letting air get down through there. If you wake up and you're like your legs and stuff are cold, chances are the quilt at the foot end is not sealing right. It's common sense, I understand, but another thing, insulation. You compress the insulation, it's less effective. So a lot of people will make the mistake that they'll try to seal up their underquilt, get it really nice and tight up against them so there's no air going through there. But then you got now you get cold because oh man, I got a lot going on today and I can't think. So you got a lot of, if you compress it too tight against you, pushing it up to try to seal the air from coming through and everything, you can compress the insulation, then it's not going to be as effective, and then you're going to get cold again. So it's So you got to find that balance, and the more you use it, the more the better you'll be at knowing how to set up your quilt and stuff. And my advice to somebody, especially fall, we're very quickly coming into fall. Weather could start getting really cold pretty quickly. So set it up in your yard. Once you get your quilt done, set it up in your yard. Go for a couple practice runs with that while you're in the yard. So if things get really bad and you're having a really hard time, you can go inside and you're not just stuck out there dealing with it. But sometimes I know for myself, getting into hammocks and everything, I even mentioned it in one of my videos. It got really aggravating. I don't know, maybe I was overthinking stuff or whatever, and I just couldn't get things right, and it just kind of aggravating. But once I figured out, it all clicked, and everything's been downhill since then. No problems at all. My biggest issue, I think, was, I say the distance between the trees, 12 to 15 feet is kind of ideal, and but I had 12-foot tree straps. You've got 12-foot tree straps too. So I was thinking, well, shoot, if I got, my hammock's 11 foot long and I got 12-foot tree straps on at each area, I can get a bigger hang, farther trees. And I just having trouble, all kinds of trouble setting it up right, getting the angles right and everything of the straps, and stuff just wasn't working. And then once I basically just gave up on trying to make things work, and just went along with what everybody says. The average, what everybody says on your distance to your trees is 12 to 15 feet. Working to get that 30-degree angle. I got a video on how to properly set up a hammock and stuff. I know you've watched a couple of our videos, so maybe you've seen it. Kind of goes over that. Like these are not set at a 30-degree angle. And cause I had a different size hammock on there last time, but so this wouldn't work right. To get that hammock dialed in where your ridge line, you can just give that little twist to the ridge line when you're laying in it. Reach up there and you get that little twist. And when you get that, your hammock's pretty dialed in. You should be pretty comfortable. But trying to get those angles right and the height right, so it's kind of like this is way too high to try to get in. Trying to get all that dialed in, it could be a pain in the butt when you're first learning, and kind of really aggravating. But my thing is just practice. Just like if you had a brand new tent, different style of tent or something, get out there and practice with it. Get out there in your yard, practice setting it up. Don't go to the same trees all the time. Go to different trees, try it here, try it there. You'll run across little differences in the setups every time. The more time you can put into this in your yard or in a local park or local woods, you'll quickly get it all dialed down on how to set it up. And then whenever you're out there in the woods camping, it'll be a piece of cake. You'll just throw it up and no issues at all. So a lot of people think, and I know you've done a lot of research into it and been looking at a lot of different videos and stuff, so you got quite a bit of knowledge in your head already. But a lot of people think, I'll just throw it up and lay in it, and then it's unfortunately not that easy. But very quickly you'll get to the point where it is that easy. You'll be able to just look at trees, know they're the right distance, know where to throw the straps, and bam, you're done, ready to enjoy the comfort. I did, just like all the other ones, I did the extra reinforced zigzag stitch along the zipper and everything, and the zipper tape. I've never had any one of these that I've made fail. I had one where the zipper tape comes up into here. I had one guy, I don't know, he was square dancing in his hammock or something, but what it ended up doing is it tore the actual zipper out of the tape. It didn't, none of my stitching ripped or anything like that. It was the actual zipper itself that failed. But he told me what he was doing, and yeah, he might as well just been square dancing in it. I mean, none of that stuff was built to handle that kind of abuse. But that's it. Can keep up with the research. Don't use off on these. That the oils and stuff in the off will deteriorate and deteriorate the fabric. At the very least, it's going to stain and discolor it, but it will probably very quickly deteriorate it where you start getting holes in it. Promethean works by Sawyer, works really well. Use that if you need some protection from the bugs. And be careful about, like, I wear shorts all year round, and if I'm spraying off on my legs, I gotta be careful. I don't want to put it on like 10 minutes before I climb in the hammock, because then it could come off of my legs and get in there. So just continue your research. You sound like you really got it. You're really getting it dialed in on what you need to do and what you want and all that kind of stuff. Take a look at this video. And you've got hooks on the inside too, like wherever these are, there's a little hook on a little ring on the inside, so you can clip different things to them. Even something as simple like I don't know if you wear glasses or not, but I wear glasses, and those little soft bag glasses with a drawstring, I can just clip them into those rings and put my glasses in there, you know, stuff like that, any random thing. And I think that's it. Remember, when you get your hammock, the green string, I use green because it kind of matches your tarp. The green string, that's where your head end of your hammock's at when it's all in the stuff sack. Because when you get it, you know, like a typical double ended stuff sack, you'll see the cinch buckles sticking out each end. But that's it. These should keep you pretty stabilized. I think I say it in a lot of my videos, if you got it up in porch mode, having these out like this is okay, because you can just walk straight out of your hammock because the tarp's up in porch mode. But if you have the tarp down in like an A-frame where the tarp's down on both sides, then no matter which way I go to get out, I'm having to step over these lines. So what I suggest in those cases is, if you want to use these, put one by your head and one by your foot. That will stretch out your hammock and really give you that nice area to lay in there flat, but you'll still have one of these gone from each side, and you can just walk out that way without tripping over anything. That's it. I know you're new to hammocks. I'm really excited to see how it goes for you and everything. And let me know once you see this if there's anything that you want different or whatever, and let me know, and we'll get it in the mail to you.